Well, thanks everyone for being here today. I'm Grace Plummer. I am the Managing Director of RIEEE, the Research Institute for Environment, Energy, and Economics. We're in the newly established Research and Innovation Division here at Appalachian. And our role is to try to connect across campus, supporting faculty research and the programs and impacts of that research. So we host these webinars, usually a few every semester, and the intent is to highlight existing and emerging research strengths at Appalachian that align with our institute mission and to help us build capacity for research and impact here at our institution. And Lauren Essick, who's our research development and operations manager, puts our webinar series on. She does all the heavy work lift of organizing these and arranging the sessions and promoting them on campus. So thank you for that. Lauren's here today. In today's session, we're going to hear from Dr. Chrystal Dean she's the director of the Mathematics and Science Education Center here. And we call it the MSEC rather than the full spelled out version, just like we do for RIEEE. But MSEC offers many K-12 STEM education programs and services, and we asked Chrystal today to focus on MSEC's capacity to support and enhance faculty research at Appalachian, particularly in achieving broader impacts through educational outreach programs and helping researchers identify and connect with educational research expertise and the right College of Education. So thank you, Chrystal, for being here today. We are going to hear from Chrystal for about 30 minutes or so, and then we'll have plenty of time in the hour for conversation and Q&A. So we'll get to that in a bit. I also want to make a quick plug for our upcoming sessions in the spring series. We have another one on Friday, March 20th, which will be Partnering for Impact, an overview of NEMAC's work and collaboration, and that's the National Environmental Modeling and Application Center down at UNCA. On Friday, April 17th, we'll hear from Information Technology Services, the research team there on NC Share computing and storage resources that support faculty research and education here at App. So refer back to the messages that you've received about our spring series to learn more about those, and we hope to see you there. Okay, so without further ado for today's session, so we're going to hear from Chrystal. Dr. Chrystal Dean is a professor of mathematics education and the director of the Mathematics and Science Education Center, MSEC, at the Wright College of Education. Chrystal's research focuses on supporting students who struggle with mathematics, and as the director of MSEC, she leads the center's efforts to strengthen STEM education by fostering connections between Appalachian State and public schools. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, Chrystal. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, and thanks to everyone who's here to learn a little bit more about the Mathematics and Science Education Center, the MSEC. I'm going to move everything over so I can share my screen with you. Oh, it disappeared, of course. All right, I'll share first and then I'll get it set up. There we go. Apologies for taking a second. All right. Can everyone see the full screen without having to watch my presenter mode?
Yeah, it looks great to me. Thanks, Chrystal.
Okay, thanks. Of course. So again, thank you for being here to learn a little bit more about how the Mathematics and Science Education Center can enhance the broader impacts of research that's done campus-wide. I thought I would start by telling you a little bit about the center, the MSEC, for those that aren't as familiar with it. My assistant director, so I am a mathematics educator, and so I wanted to try to bring in some balance. And so my assistant director is a science educator, Dr. Leslie Bradbury. She works in the Department of Learning, Teaching, and Curriculum, as well as being the assistant director for the MSEC. Her focus has to do mainly with organizing a lot of our outreach, where I focus a lot more on research. She heads a lot of our outreach efforts. Lori Tyler is our Director of Summer Ventures in Science and Mathematics. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. And Leah Greer is our University Program Specialist and our STEM Resource Librarian. So for those that are a little less familiar with the MSEC, what we are known a lot for is our STEM resource library. So we have mathematics, science, robotics, all these materials that are housed here on the 5th floor in the MSEC of the Wright College of Education. And those materials are checked out for free by local teachers, our pre-service teachers, our teacher educators, as well as other people on campus. For example, we've had 2 of our physics professors that have checked out our robotics materials for work they do with local schools and with the club here on campus. So it's a huge resource that we'd love for people to use. And it's one of the pieces of the MSEC that's been part of the MSEC since the beginning. Another thing that the MSEC is well known for are the outreach efforts that we do with local schools. And what we're wanting to do, especially when the move was made to a more research intensive environment at Appalachian, was find a way to build on those strengths of that STEM library and all the outreach to support research, our own research involved here in the center, as well as supporting research throughout the university. So what I want to do is talk just a little bit about some activities that we do, just to give you a sense of things that we have and things that we do. And then I'll talk a little bit more about our service center and how that might be of use to you. So I've just mentioned our STEM materials library. Summer Ventures is a 4-week research experience for some of the best and brightest rising juniors and seniors in North Carolina high schools. The students come and live on campus for 4 weeks, so they live in our residence halls, they eat on campus, they go to events in the broader community, but they're matched with researchers here on campus and work with them very intensively for 4 weeks. And at the end, they have presentations, a lot of them publish papers with the researchers. So it's a wonderful experience that is coordinated through the School of Science and Math. STEAM Expo is another thing we're well known for in general, in that it is the largest outreach experience here on campus, where we bring hundreds up to 1,200 middle grades and high school students to campus to engage in interactive STEAM activities. Sometimes those are going from table to table with professors and researchers, community members from all aspects of STEAM, as well as large room presentations, exploring the Turchin Center and how that's related to STEM activities. So it's a full day experience that we really enjoy. Our next STEAM Expo is actually March 25th. So if anyone's interested in volunteering or being a part of one of the demonstrations, please let me know. We also, one of our newer things are mathematics clinics. Grace had mentioned that my personal focus with research is on students that struggle with mathematics. So back in 2021, we got a Chancellor's Innovation Grant to start a small mathematics clinic. So in 2022, we had our first clinic with 5 young children in K3 and worked with 10 pre-service teachers. We currently have 5 clinics that are running, and we serve over 100 students and have over 100 pre-service teachers working in those clinics, and we'll soon be expanding hopefully to the high school as well. Teacher professional development of all kinds. Our latest teacher professional development has focused a lot on science, because North Carolina recently released new science standards for K-12, and so we've been supporting teachers in implementing those. Coming up, We'll have another focus as well that moves towards mathematics, because in the next year or two, they'll be rolling out the new mathematics standards. So a lot of places that we can plug in to support teacher professional development. Summer camps has been one of our newer experiences that we've started, and we had our first one this past summer with 15 middle grade students. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. We've extended our family STEM nights. There was one or two happening each year. We're now do 6 a year with a wait list. So those have become very popular. I'll also talk a little bit more about our STEM ambassadors and our affiliate faculty and how that can affect you in your research. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit more about our service center. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about the service center, how it came to be. Then I'll talk about more about our most recent outreach events so that you can get a feel for how you might utilize the service center, start generating some ideas for you. And then I'll talk about ways that we can help you make connections with STEM education researchers and local schools. And I'll give you a few specific examples to help give you a context for how the process works. And I'll finish up by telling you what your next steps could be in partnering with the MSEC. So under some wonderful support and tutelage from Grace, we created a service center, and part of that, the big idea being to help researchers, no matter what area you're in, if it's STEM related, that we can help broaden the impact of the research that you're doing by having you consider adding a K-12 outreach experience to your grant proposal and your research. And the MSEC can help you significantly strengthen that part because of the experience and connections that we have with K-12 community and STEM education researchers. This also allows us to be involved. It's this reciprocal win-win kind of situation. We're supporting researchers in enhancing those broader impacts, and we're able to have more outreach events by having funding coming through those research grants that we're written into. And to be clear, we're not wanting to be co-PIs, but rather we would fall under other direct costs. So this allows a lot of flexibility with what you might do with this outreach. So your question might be even, why does K-12 outreach matter? For us, it's a lot about fostering literacy, scientific literacy for the students, and promoting access to STEM fields. We really want students engaged and excited about the STEM field, both from the aspect of they need to be able to understand and be thinking as next generation consumers and innovators, and also those skills of critical thinking and problem solving. So there's so many reasons that doing K-12 outreach in STEM education matters. And then, of course, what would motivate a STEM researcher to add an educational outreach enhancement? First, from a very pragmatic point of view, it fulfills that broader impacts requirement, specifically with NSF grants. Two major things they look at, and broader impacts is one of those. And so we can help boost the competitiveness of your proposal by adding this broader impact of a K-12 outreach, expand the reach of your research and beyond the narrative of just those that are interested in your specific research. So if you're a biologist doing some really intense research, besides other biologists, how could we get that out to other people that would want to know? How could you answer that so what question for those outside of biology? And we can help by providing access to resources such as STEM education researchers, local schools, and these type of things. So to give you some ideas of the types of latest outreach projects that we've had, I wanted to talk about the latest two that we've done. The first being Camp Inspire. So this was our summer camp that we did this past summer, where we partnered with the Department of Chemistry and Fermentation Sciences to bring 15 middle school students to campus for 4 days. And it was a day camp. They drove back and forth. They didn't stay on campus or anything, but it was a huge success and highly popular. In fact, we put out the call for this for registration, and within 2 days, we had 30 people signed up for 15 slots, and we wound up with about 60 people registered for only 15 slots. So there's lots of room for growth. In fact, next summer, our plan is to do 1 week with chemistry and fermentation sciences and another week with physics. So this is one of our newest outreach that so far has been very successful. This past fall, we did a 2-day middle grades teacher conference for science teachers to serve two purposes. One, to help support the integration of the new science standards, but another was to show them free NASA resources that are available to help them integrate into their classroom to meet some of those, particularly earth science standards. So we had a NASA sub-award that supported this 2-day teacher professional development. And we're currently working on a new grant to expand on that because, again, we had so many people that were interested, but only so many slots available. But you can see the types of things that might help you start generating some ideas for things you might be interested in working with as far as your research. And I'll give you a couple more examples in a minute for some specifics on how that might fit for you. But first, I wanted to talk about a couple of examples of how we've helped connect PIs with educational researchers and the community. So we have an organization, the MSEC affiliate faculty. So these are faculty that do STEM-related things and specifically with education. And so we have times for them to come together for conversations about their current projects, make connections, talk to others, find out who they can collaborate with. So as an example, at one of our new and potential affiliate faculty events, a new assistant professor in psychology came and was talking about his interest in math education for students that tend to struggle, some summer experiences for them, because the tendency is for summer experiences to be an enrichment type of thing, not something for students that struggle. So he was wanting to find a space for those to help students excel in mathematics rather than those that already excel. And so we were able to connect at that event, connect him with a math educator and a special education professor who look at these types of things. And they're currently working on a grant together to create a summer camp for students that need support in mathematics. Another way of making connections that affiliate faculty has helped, I had a professor in sustainable development who reached out to me. He was interested in an NSF IUS grant. He does research in Costa Rica on real-time monitoring and microenvironment and tree physiology. We had to talk a little while so he could explain what all that looked like. But he takes undergraduates with him to Costa Rica. And he said, you know, I do my own research, but I'm not familiar with the expertise that would be needed for this in STEM education. And so I was able to introduce him to science educators that work in learning, teaching, and curriculum whose specific area matched with what he was doing and what he wanted to do. And the three of them were able to put in the NSF IUS grant. We also have another way that we can make connections is through our STEM ambassadors. These are teachers in North Carolina and a few in Tennessee who are very passionate about STEM education. These might be math teachers, science teachers, CTE that are working more specifically with career and technical education. Sorry if you're not familiar with what CTE is. And they work with us, and that they will do presentations. Like the middle picture that you see there is one of our STEM ambassadors talking to a group of future high school teachers about best practices as they're starting their student teaching experience. STEM ambassadors are also the first people we invite to our events. So when we did the 2-day NASA conference, the STEM ambassadors would get right of first refusal, I guess you would say, in participating in those type of events. Another way that we make connections is with our family STEM nights. So these events occur about once a month for us during the regular school year. We do 6 that we can fund through the MSEC's current budget, and then others get funded in other ways, whether the school system is covering those themselves, or we have it written into grants to cover those. But they're widely popular. We have a wait list for those already for next year. And we have 3 more to do this semester. So the wonderfully unique thing about those is it's not an event just with young children. The entire family comes. You can see in the picture there, we've got all ages, parents. We've had some grandparents bring their children there. So it's a very unique all-in kind of event that we hold at the local schools or local libraries. So I wanted to give you a couple of examples of ways that we've made this connection with our outreach events and our service center to support some professors who have put in a few grants. So I wanted to talk through kind of the difference in the ways that we've worked to give you a feel for the fact that we can match what it is that you're needing. So my first example was a biology professor. And he came to me and he already had kind of this vision. He wanted a growth model to help support research experiences at lots of different levels. And so we sat down and talked through his research, what that would look like, and putting it in terms of what anyone outside of biology would understand that it looks like. And then think through what kind of events would connect his specific research and his vision for wanting to support research experiences in STEM. So we have a multi-event type of experience along with his grant proposal. The first is he wanted to do a series of the family STEM nights so that STEM professionals could interact with the families at these family STEM nights. So we've partnered with a local school district that was interested in having a series of these family STEM nights, as they've written letters of support and everything that yes, we definitely want to partner with this researcher for these family STEM nights a couple of times across the life of the grant. And then a second part of this growth model was to work with students at the School of Science and Math in Morganton. Those students experience each summer an event called SRIP, or Summer Research and Innovation Program. And these are student-led research experiences, but these occur in different places. And so the biology researcher wants to open up his lab and partner with the School of Science and Math to bring students in for an experience that will occur in his lab for 3 to 5 weeks. And that one took a lot of work and partnership with the School of Science and Math to get it established. The third thing that he wanted to do in that growth model is using data from those first 2 experiences, because one of the other things that we can support with is doing actual evaluations and data collection of the outreach experiences. And so using data from those first 2, we will co-create with him an educator workshop so that high school teachers can be better equipped to inspire STEM curiosity and make students aware of research opportunities that they could have during college and then possible careers post-graduation. So you can see the biology, all these things that we can do together to really grow this concept of what research looks like and to better prepare students to do research and want to do research in the STEM area. In contrast, I've had a computer scientist who's reached out to me on 2 separate occasions for work with him on a couple of NSF grants. The first one that we worked on together, he came to me and talked about his research, and it was specifically related to the use of AI in a certain environment. And after talking through different options, we figured out that the best match was for teacher professional development at the high school level for him. And so we had a lot of our discussion had to do with logistics, when you would be able to do the PD. For example, with high school teachers, you're not going to want to do research in late spring because they'll be worried about testing. And you're not going to want to do it during the summer because teachers want to guard their summer time. Not in the evenings because they have families to take care of, not on the weekends. So we talked about what it would look like to do professional development during the school day. Do we do half a day, a full day? We need to pay for substitutes, these type of discussions, which the nice thing is, since we have all this experience doing professional development already, we know the types of questions to ask and the types of things to think about when planning these type of things, and how much it costs to do each of these things. Most recently, the same computer scientist is putting in another NSF grant. Then in the same way, he wanted to find outreach that matched his research. And so this time, he's working on a framework that targets practical questions that arise when someone's programming and they're deploying a program, debugging, fine-tuning things. So with this one, we talked through that it was a better fit if he's wanting to find an outreach to match that research. That would be a better fit for a middle grade summer camp. So we talked about integrating what he's doing into one of our Camp Inspire events that we have. So at some point we can have 1 week that's chemistry and fermentation sciences, 1 week that is physics, and hopefully 1 week that is computer science. So the next question, of course, is if you're interested in this, what are the next steps? How do you go about collaborating with us so that we can create a really high impact outreach plan for you? On the screen, you'll see here, this is our web address that goes straight to our Broader Impact website, as well as a QR code that goes to the same website that we have. On that website, you're going to find well, here, you know what? I'm gonna vary from the plan. Let me take you so you can see it and how you get there. You go to research if you don't have a direct and broader impact. So you're going to see our website for why does K-12 outreach matter? Why would you bother doing it? Why add it to a thing? Many of the things I've talked about, but what I really wanted to make sure I showed you was particularly why you would collaborate with us, as we'd have a framework that we go through, but showing you where you can find that next steps. So down here, we say we'd like at least 2 months. I can talk to you a little bit of why here in just a second, but I wanted you to be able to see where you can find that outreach form, that Google form. And this helps you talk through what you're thinking about, what types of interests you have. So it gives us a place to start when we have that conversation. But I also want to show you where you can find the spreadsheet. So I'm going to go back to my presentation. So your educational outreach form and the service rates that we have to give you an idea of where we would start the conversation. So let's talk a little bit about timing with this. So for example, the biology example that I gave you, we needed 2 or 3 months for this, which seems, I know, like a lot of time if you're for those that might plan not too far ahead for your grant proposals, but for the sake of our sponsored programs people, I'll put in a plug to start as early as possible. But the reason this one took so long is because we brought in an outside partner in the North Carolina School of Science and Math. There's never been a grant written where we've partnered with the School of Science and Math where we're actually trying to fund an SRIP experience. So there was a lot of back and forth between what that looks like because they can't be a subaward. So we'd have to run through the MSEC to be able to fund it. And the general counsel at both campuses had to be involved and getting memorandums of understanding, all those things that look like. So that's a very time-consuming process. So that's why we needed more time for that one. Plus, it was a multi-event project. So we had to think about what year we would do what event. The family STEM nights, and then the SRIP experience, and then the teacher professional development, what made the most sense. And of course, there were several budget considerations that we had to think about running it through MSEC in order to get money to NCSSM, and how many family STEM nights, where they would be, how we would coordinate those. So this, because we went with a particular county that wanted to partner with this grant, so this took more time than, say, the example with the computer scientists. That took about a month to get out, set the budgets, get the letters written, figure out what the activities would be. It basically, the more you want, the more time we need. For example, if we need a brainstorming session, if we need to be able to help you, support you, and give you feedback on the broader impacts narrative, getting you your letters of support, talking about specifics for the outreach. How involved will you be? Because we have the option, for example, with the summer camp. Do you want to be more of a visitor that comes in and does a couple of activities, or do you really want to be in the nitty-gritty of everything involved with the camp? A lot of people are very happy for us to do the logistics because it's just not anything they've done before, and they kind of want to be peripherally involved, and some really want to be more involved in what's going on. And we can talk through what that looks like, and what you want to do, and how that makes for budget adjustments in the things that we're doing. So it's the greatest thing that we offer is how much passion we have for the outreach, and the greatest advantage for us of you being involved is that we can do more outreach. So let us bring our expertise to you by helping you broaden the research grants, make it more likely for you to get funding, and then everyone wins. I will do a quick plug, of course, for our social media, which I do at the end of each of my presentations, no matter where they are, so that you can keep involved with the types of things that we're doing. And it's also where we advertise things for our affiliate faculty and others. I will stop sharing there and see if people have questions. Grace, I guess I'll turn it back over to you, or